Commissioner Noonan, you want to come up and?
She doesn't have to come up. She's done enough work today.
Well,
As I was saying,
good
to see you.
Yeah.
As I was saying, we have such a
Chair.
vibrant, productive partnership with this administration.
I love that president. He's gonna repeat things. We're gonna take a break and let the governor speak to
Governor,
us
thank
with
you.
us a little bit.
Thank you for letting me
Busy
in.
day.
Hey,
Floor is
thank you.
yours.
I just came in to thank you, really seriously, because as Commissioner Noonan and all of us can tell you, the work that you're doing is as important to job growth and therefore to Vermont as anything that's happening right now. And you know as well as I that when you go out and talk to employers, and I do it every single day it seems in one capacity or another, you know, they have two messages. Despite all doom and gloom, there's a lot of, there's my commissioner back there too, Lisa, thanks for all your great work. First of all, they say, you know, there's no better place to do business. There's no better place to live. There's no better place to work. But what's holding us back, whether it's downtown Rutland or wherever it is two things. One, we cannot find enough trained folks to do the work that we have. And two, if only when we find them, we could have affordable housing. Those are really the two things that they're saying. They're not saying, despite all the stuff you read in the press, you know, it's this tax or it's this, you know, the fact that you know, all the stuff you hear I couldn't get through Act 250 and blah, 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 time and time again. It goes, not to say there aren't challenges there, but time and time again it comes back to trained workforce. And when you hear legislators talking about, you know, all the challenges we have with property taxes, which we do, we sometimes forget to look at the facts, which is that we spend per pupil more than any other state in America. So there's no lack of resources being expended. And we have the most equitable school funding system in the country where, you know, it doesn't matter what town you live in, you have equal access to resources. So we're more fair than those. But, you know, time and time again, we're faced with this challenge of low-income kids who we fail to move beyond high school. So our job is to figure out how to not only take the kids that we've got and move them farther, whether it's Dan Smith's work or CCV, thank God for CCV and VTC, and all the other folks that are working so hard on this. But it also means us collectively being much more creative about drawing down every single dollar that we can, taking those dollars and coordinating them better so that we're actually doing the workforce training, whether it's for young people or for retraining, in a more thoughtful and effective way. That's where the rubber's going to hit the road. That's where we're going to find the promised land for the state. I can go down to Brattleboro, Minden County, which is, you know, a job-challenged area of Vermont right now, and talk to the CEO of GS Precision, and he'll say, if you get me the employees, I could grow the manufacturing jobs, your good-paying jobs, 25% this year. 25%. I can go up to Rutland and talk to folks at GE. They've got the same recruiting and training challenges. You can go up to Burlington. I've got one company in Burlington who shall remain, you know, anonymous, and it's not Ben & Jerry's. You know, Joe can speak for himself, but I know one company in Burlington. You just think about this. We always say, oh, you know, Vermont's a place where young people can't find jobs, and where there's no jobs for them, and if only we had the jobs, they'd be here. Well, here's the truth. There's one company in Burlington that would hire 90 people right now at $90,000 a year starting, with benefits, if they could just run the computer technology that they need to have run to do the job. And you can tell that story all over again, you know, many, many times. Northeast Kingdom. So my point is, the work we're doing here is great. We've got to do it even better, and thank you for doing the hard work, doing the hard dive, because it really is all about Vermont's future. So I just want to say thank you with all my heart.
Thank you, and I'm
Thank
sure
you,
you
Michelle.
didn't mean to leave out our tech center
No.
in your comments
I
about
didn't.
education delivery.
No, I shouldn't have started, because I left out half the people in the room. I didn't even say anything about ice cream. But anyway, thank you, and thanks to the employers that are making a difference for us and all the creative stuff we're doing.
Would you take a question or two?
Yeah.
Would anybody like to ask a question?
thanks to my commissioner who's so focused on this. I mean, when I hired Annie Noonan, this was her thing. And it remains her thing. And her whole department. That's why we got Michelle and others helping to pull it all together. What did we miss? Questions? Thoughts? Yes.
I just have a question for you, your thoughts on, if we're spending more than any other state per pupil on education, why do you think only 52% or 53% of those students are going on to college in 2 years? What is it, where's the gap? What's causing that gap?
Poverty. And then the fact that we have a lit service to 0 to 5, everything happens early. And then, frankly, because we missed the boat there, with the high-risk kids, we put them on an educational trajectory where by 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, they're falling out, they're dropping out, they're turning to drugs, they're not getting the support that one hope from young, from what many of us had in a supportive home. And by the time, it's time to graduate from high school, we're great at doing that. We've got the highest graduation rates in the country from high school. There's either financial or cultural or pure, self-esteem. A lot of the things are going on at that point, but it's too late. It's very, very hard. It's never too late, but it's very, very hard to turn the ship at that time. And let's think about this for a minute, objectively. We complain about our efforts to really get early childhood to 0 to 5 going, spend the money, invest the resources. We don't complain about spending $57,000 a year to put someone behind bars, 90% of whom have difficulty reading, which leads to all the other isms that put them in. So, just think about that. Like, what could you do with $57,000 a year, sometimes 10-year census, sometimes 15-year census? I mean, believe it or not, even Harvard is $57,000 a year right now. It's pretty close. It's only 4 years. Dan could get it down below that. CCV can get it down below that. Everyone on the table here can. So I just really think it's a question of being much smarter from the beginning about giving everybody the opportunity that they deserve, not just those who are born with opportunity. And that's what we're doing now.
Anybody else? Tom?
Hi, Tom Longstreth from Resource.
Yeah, you're doing great work too.
Well, thank you. One of the things that we're trying to do is connect these public goods, like housing, affordable housing, weatherization, improvements in efficiency, to the population of unemployed, disadvantaged people who need work and want to get training. And I'm wondering how we broaden that and do it more comprehensively, because there seems like there's so many urgent needs, housing, as you mentioned, but some of the environmental goals that we have with the state. How do we keep pushing that forward, especially with such tight finances? There's not a lot of appetite for new investments. We're not going to get federal investments or probably state ones. But some of these activities might not require that much investment either. And there might be good partnerships with employers. And that's where I just wonder how we allow some more of that to occur. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's something I think we struggle with.
Right, I think you're right. I mean, so often, so much of the time, we have lots of really good people working really hard in silos and not working with comprehensive policies that would allow it to tie it together. I personally think the energy initiative that we've just introduced this year to replace the speed program is a step in the right direction. I mean, basically what it's going to say is, listen, forget these incentives where we say, we will give you an incentive if you save a kilowatt of electricity. We'll give you an incentive for a very narrow band of energy work. And instead saying, we're going to give you the incentive if you comprehensively and holistically move to a greener, cleaner energy future by reducing all of your energy usage, which will give our power companies, the big movers, the incentives to change their business model, which, by the way, our biggest power company is doing, where they have a whole different outlook on their business. Instead of, bringing in big generation from out there somewhere, which is what the model was before, and hoping to sign as much people up for that juice as you can bring in on poles and wires from thousands of miles away, they're going, hey, how can we work with all the players, not just us, but all the contractors, the folks who are in this field, to change the business model where you're literally going in. This is how they're going to make money. They're going to say, we go into your home, older homes in Vermont, we flip out your windows, we replace your doors, we blow cellulose in that thing until it will creep, and we throw a heat, some solar panels on your roof or your backyard, or you become part of a CSA. We're going to put a heat pump in your basement. We're going to do it all collectively, and we're going to get you off of oil. We'll cut your power usage to practically nothing, and our business model will be, and the incentives will be driven for that holistic approach instead of just like, how do we reduce our electric rate use? And I think, so I think anytime we can think of public policy incentives that tie us together where we're getting all the, and what happens in that case, ask the mayor over here, Rutland, solar center of the universe. What happens is, all kinds of other contractors get drawn into that job to build that model. And everyone's pulling, the same cart. So I think that innovation is going to be, another example where, like Tennessee, Vermont, and other things we've done well, Vermont leads. But it's a question of having the incentives that bring everybody in the community who's good at what they're doing together with a common mission.
Governor, Greg McGuire from
Yeah.
Revision. And thank you for this. It was wonderful that this effort is being put together. One thing when I talk to my coworkers at Revision, I would say almost to a person, they love to live and work in Vermont. A very, very positive experience for them, their families, and we hire it where we can from the Vermont labor pool, but when we have to recruit from out of state, Vermont is a place to live, is a big selling point.
Right.
You should never lose sight of that. But one of the biggest challenges that our workforce, my coworkers talk about, many in their 20s, is the affordable housing. And that, I guess that's the flip side of the success of Chittenden County, is that it's hard to find a place that's affordable to live.
Right.
If you care to address that.
Sure, I'll be brief, but two things. It is a huge problem. That's why I mentioned right in the beginning, it's workforce training and finding a place to put a roof over your head after you've matched the training with a job. And what we're doing with VCHB and housing in Vermont is unprecedented. We're really creating partnerships, leveraging federal dollars, leveraging state dollars, taking our old broken down downtowns, making them vital places to live by taking our rundown old buildings and retrofitting them, making them energy efficient, putting in really livable units that you're proud to live in. So I think we're doing that part of housing well. I think what we're not doing well is saying to, the rest of the housing stock in Vermont, how do we give the private sector the incentives that would help us open up more affordable housing in the private sector market? And I'll tell you, those landlords are competing with the public sector that can go in and spend 120, 130 grand on a unit, make it state of the art, and you can't build enough of those. And they're sitting there, and there are two kinds of landlords out there in the private sector. One is the group that is trying to, and it's a small group in Vermont, but kind of milk as much out of the infrastructure as they can, and then they flip them. So they're not going to go for any incentives because they're in this to hit and run. And then there's an awful lot of other folks who are in it because they want to really provide good housing for people and they want to make some money. And there's a lot of those. And I've asked my commissioner to work together with the private sector to come up with ideas that are more comprehensive, that would allow us to sweeten the pot there so that we're actually moving more people to more private sector units to fixed rent stabilization housing where everybody wins. The landlord wins because their building gets improved, because it gets energy efficiency. They don't have to go to 16 different stops, but you can just have one program and other incentives. And the employees win because they have good housing in a much more vibrant supply. Then the next problem is, how do you get more housing that people can afford to buy. And that means, frankly, what we're doing with downtown, more density. You know, using less land to build higher and smarter in the places where we've already started building. So that's what our smart growth stuff is doing. So I think comprehensively, we've got a good plan. There's more work we can do to bring private rental stock up where everybody wins. You get fixed rents and the landlords win too. And we have been terribly uncreative about that. You know, I hate to say it, but government sees landlords in the rental business because we deal with problems. You know, they tend to have a pretty dim view of them. I happen to be one. I know there's a lot of people in the rental business who actually want to do the right thing, and I think we've done a piss poor job of reaching out to them because we're so convinced that they're all slumlords. So, those are some of the things that we can all do together. Now, the beauty of Vermont is we can actually do them together. So thank you for helping us do it.